In 2007, Apple did indeed reinvent the phone as we went from this to this. How about 2024? In 2024, we literally went from this to this. Yeah, they've added a button. And so it's similar in the somewhere in between, around 2017, this was the Apple 7 Plus, and this was the Apple 8 Plus in white, which I fancied more than just a simple black brick. And by the way, it wasn't that much different from any other phones from any other vendors. And so the 2007 revolution was exciting because this could have browsed the internet, and yes, you didn't have the physical keyboard, which by the way I loved and probably love even up until nowadays if I could have one on the phone, but I somehow learned how to live with that. But in 2024 they just added a button. How exciting. So in a sense, you're not upgrading your phone anymore. You're upgrading your sense of a regret. Remember when upgrading a phone was exciting, as we went from the keyboard to touchscreen, better photos, better sound, better everything, better screen resolution. But then in reality, where do you go from this? Is it a dead end, or is it because more innovation would be more or less costly? That was the real innovation back then. Today, we curved the display a little bit more, and that carved out area on the top of the screen is a little bit narrower now and has a fancy LED inside. And by the way, the phone now comes in titanium grey. Oh, excellent. We also made it 2 grams lighter so that it's not so heavy in your pocket. Look, it's not that the tech companies are lazy. They're just absolutely great at pretending that there is nothing left to do. Because, let's be honest, the true innovation from where we are now to what we could achieve would require a massive R&D and someone who can visualize again what people want, where is the current problem with all these technologies, because quite frankly for most of us these are good enough, and as long as we will be queuing for the next year's upgrade, the truth is there's no reason for any of these companies to innovate even a single bit. So instead of innovation, they just iterate. They tweak the camera a little bit. They add some AI features, Apple Intelligence or however you want to call it. But in the end of the day, it's just a lame integration with another app that you already have in your phone, and that is ChatGPT. And let's not forget the liquid glass, the loved and hated revolution on how now the unified look across the Apple devices, for example, will look going forward, which in the end of the day, is that an innovation? Is it something that will revolutionize and change the way you live your life and use your phone? I doubt that. And as we said a couple of times with Richard Simon, my friend from the channel Cloud Therapist, as soon as some of the software releases get their name, you know that the consumer phone world is out of innovation when the status bar gets their name too. So what's the real cost here? You're still paying the top dollar for a product that is no longer tied to any form of innovation. It's just an illusion of progress. The £1,000 phones from 3 years ago to 2024 model can do exactly the same thing. Unless you are a fancy motovlogger who wants to edit a Insta360 footage directly in the phone app, for which you need a little bit more power than maybe the 3-year-old phone had to offer. But then, hey, is that a day-to-day use case, and can it be solved otherwise? It probably could. So in a way, it's just a disposable culture wrapped into a keynote of lies when the product is announced. Which in the end of the day is a show where nothing changes, but everyone just claps anyway. How did we end up here? The tech journalists will not say that, at least not aloud. Why? Because they don't want to endanger the supply of their review units. The influencer, hello brand deals, will not say that either, because they need to protect their brand deal and their sponsorships. But we will. At Skeptikal Techie, we just say smartphones are boring on purpose. The manufacturers are not necessarily out of ideas, they're out of reasons to care for your needs. So no, this year or last year's phone was not revolutionary, but so was not your, what would be the appliance of a gravity comparable to your phone? A toaster? Oh, that's a cheap one. A washing machine, okay, a big bulky washing machine, which is probably in the same price range, £1,000 for a washing machine, or £1,000 for a new iPhone 16 Pro, whatever, is about the comparable costs. The difference? You're not queuing to buy a new washing machine, and you're not buying every year a new model. So what do we do about that? Until and unless someone really comes with a revolutionary phone, don't upgrade. It's not worth it. And please, for the love of innovation, don't let a little shinier camera trick you into spending yet another grand on a phone upgrade. Subscribe to Skeptikal Techie. We say the stuff that the other tech YouTubers are too monetized to say. Peace.